Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Global Atheist News, our report on the impact that religion has had on humanity over the last 7 days. Dateline, 14th of January 2023. This week's headlines. Ukraine, the Christmas ceasefire that wasn't. Iran, 2 more men hanged over killing of a militiaman. LGBTQ activist found dead in Kenya. South Carolina priest was charged with federal sex crimes. The Church of England is setting up a £100 million fund to address past wrongs of slave trade. Cardinal Pell's death brings few tears in Australia. A Christian actor says that Jesus' return might be looming. Worshippers in Tokyo plunge into an ice bath to mark the new year. Demi Lovato announces her new album, Holy Fvck. A new Speaking in Tongues video has been published. Vladimir Putin announced a ceasefire which he said his troops would observe across the front line last weekend. He claimed it was so Orthodox Christians could celebrate their Christmas. This is the report of the BBC correspondent. The pops of outgoing tank fire tell you you're getting close to one of the most active parts of the front line in the eastern Donbass region of Ukraine. They also show that Russia's declared 36-hour ceasefire is in name only. They promised there would be one, but we don't see it or feel it, says Alexander, a Ukrainian soldier. The constant bangs of incoming artillery reinforce his point. Then a shell lands 50 meters away from where we are speaking. He doesn't even flinch. 2 men have been hanged in Iran for killing a member of the security forces during nationwide protests against the government. Mohammed Mahdi Karami and Sayed Mohammad Hosseini had appealed against their sentences, saying they had been tortured into making false confessions. Iran's judicial news agency, Mizan, said the 2 men were the main perpetrators in the killing of paramilitary officer Ruhollah Ajamian. Prosecutors say he was stripped naked and killed by a group of mourners paying their respects to a recently killed protester. The men were first sentenced to death in December, but they launched appeals after saying they had been tortured. Iran's Supreme Court upheld the sentence on the 3rd of January. Human rights group Amnesty International denounced what it called a sham trial and said Iranian authorities were seeking the death penalty for at least 26 others. The total number of protesters known to already have been executed in the aftermath of the unrest is now 4. The family of 22-year-old Mr. Karami said they were not permitted to meet him before he was killed on Saturday. They had also pleaded with the judiciary to spare his life. "I beg you, please, I ask you to remove the death penalty from my son's case," his father said. The UK's Foreign Secretary, James Cleverly, urged the Iranian authorities to end the violence against its own people, while the EU said it was appalled by the use of the death penalty against protesters. The latest hangings follow last month's executions of 2 other men allegedly involved in attacks on security forces. Here is a video of a recent protest that the Iranian authorities described as a riot in Zahedan. Police in Kenya are investigating the death of young fashion designer and LGBTQ activist Edwin Chiloba after his body was found dumped in a metal box by the roadside near the town of Eldoret. A suspect, believed to be a friend of the victim, has been arrested, but police have not spoken about a motive. Rights organisations in Kenya, where gay sex is outlawed, have linked the killing to his sexuality. One group estimates that more than half of LGBTQ Kenyans have been assaulted. Words cannot even explain how we as a community are feeling right now. Another soul lost due to hate. You will be missed. Rights organisation Galc Plus posted on Twitter. Edwin's death reminds us that queer bodies continue to be under attack all over the country, the National Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission wrote on Instagram. Tributes on social media described Chiloba, who was in his mid-20s, as an amazing human and an iconic fashion designer. Last month, Chiloba wrote himself on Instagram that he was going to fight for all marginalised people, saying that he himself had been marginalised. He spread love wherever he went, was bold about his existence as a queer man, and encouraged many others to do the same. Chris McKenna, an activist and friend of Chiloba, told the BBC. A South Carolina priest who served in the Roman Catholic Diocese of Charleston has been charged with federal sex crimes stemming from allegations that he abused an 11-year-old child. Jamie Adolfo Gonzalez Farias, known in church as Father Gonzalez, was arrested by the U.S. Marshals Service in Miami on November the 29th, according to the court records. A recently unsealed indictment shows Gonzalez Farias, 68, was charged with aggravated sexual abuse of children, coercion of a minor, and transportation of a minor with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity. Between November the 8th and November the 12th in 2020, Gonzalez Farias is accused of taking an 11-year-old child to Florida and engaging in the intentional touching, not through the clothing, of the victim's genitalia, according to the indictment. In a statement provided to the state, the Roman Catholic Diocese of Charleston said they first became aware of an allegation of sexual misconduct with a minor involving Gonzalez Farias in December 2020, after he had left the country for his home in Chile. The diocese said it notified his parishioners about the abuse allegation in January 2021. The Church of England has committed £100 million to a fund it is setting up to compensate for its historical benefit from the international slave trade. A report for the Church Commissioners, the body that manages the C of E's £9 billion plus endowment fund, traced the origins of the fund partly to Queen Anne's bounty, a financial scheme established in 1704 based on transatlantic chattel slavery. In an effort to address past wrongs, the Church Commissioners Board is to set up a £100 million fund to deliver a programme of investment, research and engagement over the next 9 years. The Church is not using the term reparations, as the scheme will not compensate individuals, but will support projects focused on improving opportunities for communities adversely impacted by historic slavery. At St. Patrick's Cathedral in Melbourne, the polarising legacy that Cardinal George Pell leaves in his Australian homeland was evident. The cathedral is where Cardinal Pell first rose to the rank of Archbishop. It is also where he is accused of molesting 2 choir boys in the 1990s. As news of his death spread on Wednesday, mourners were pictured attending a commemorative mass at the church. They shuffled past ribbon tributes left for victims and survivors of child sex abuse on the cathedral fence. Cardinal Pell was Australia's most powerful Catholic, but he was also reviled by many. During a career spanning 6 decades, Cardinal Pell worked his way through the ranks of the church in Victoria, serving as Archbishop of both Melbourne and then Sydney, before he became one of the Pope's top aides. Even before he faced charges himself, Cardinal Pell's reputation in Australia was marred by the church's failure to tackle its child sex abuse crisis. Christian actor Kevin Sorbo has reflected on the timeliness of his new film, Left Behind: Rise of the Antichrist, and shared why he believes Jesus' return might be looming. See the official trailer.
If someone had told me that millions of people were just going to disappear, I, like you, would have said they were crazy.
Was it the rapture?
Yes. Yes, it was.
Are you sure? Are you really sure?
I saw it happen.
Those were vanishings.
It wasn't the rapture. The rapture was debunked on the first day.
The second wave of vanishings has thrown the financial markets back into chaos.
Trust me. You want to make sure you're on the right team.
You're already teaching me the art of fake news?
I just wish I could see it one more time. Why are you still here?
Because I asked God to leave me behind.
We don't need to look for magic. We're not a bunch of religious wackos.
Devotees of a shrine in Tokyo welcomed in their new year with an ice-cold bath in an annual tradition that goes back 68 years. 40 people took part in the event at Tepozu Inari Shrine on Sunday, where the men and women donned loincloths and white gowns before plunging into water filled with ice blocks. The Shinto ritual is said to purify the soul and bring good health in the new year. See this video. A poster of Demi Lovato wearing a bondage-style outfit and lying on a crucifix-shaped bed has been banned for causing offence to Christians. The title of the singer's new album clearly alluded to a swear word, and, together with the image, linked sexuality to a sacred symbol, the UK's advertising watchdog found. Polydor Records said it was artwork designed to promote the album and did not believe it to be offensive. The poster received 4 complaints and was removed after 4 days. The Advertising Standards Authority, the ASA, said it had received complaints relating to the image of Ms. Lovato bound up in a bondage-style outfit whilst lying on a mattress shaped like a crucifix. The singer was in a position with her legs bound to one side, which was reminiscent of Christ on the cross, it added. Together with the album title, which is a play on a swear word, Holy Fvck. The ASA found the poster was likely to be viewed as linking sexuality to the sacred symbol of the crucifix and the crucifixion, and this was likely to cause serious offence to Christians. A new video of a congregation speaking in tongues was released this week. Enjoy this.
And then the Lord said,
This week's Free Thought Hour, the show that follows this news, features Director of the Vancouver branch of Centre for Inquiry, John Lombard. He wants to tell us about an event for the Clergy Project, which they are holding later this month. You can join in by texting your comments and questions. It's live and it's free. And don't forget to watch Views on the News, our spin-off show where a panel of opinionated people, the wise and the witty, get a chance to express their views on this very news. The GAN team will be back with our weekly news report next week. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and set the notifications. This has been Global Atheist News. Thank you for watching.